Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 160. Nice even number. And I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fibernymph on Ravelry, Plurk, and Instagram. Today is Thursday, April 24th. Yes, it's Thursday. I'm sorry. No, it's Friday. What the heck? It's Friday, April 24th. I'm 1 week out from going to Maryland, so yay for that. Yeah, it's been a crazy period here, which is why I did not record until now. It's almost been 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks Monday, so sorry about that, but it is what it is. Let me say hello to Layla from Norway, who introduced herself on the 90% Knitting board. I don't think I got to say hello to her last time, even though I think she posted the same day I recorded last time. So anyway, hi Layla. This should actually be kind of a short episode. I don't have a whole lot to show you because honestly, since the last time I recorded, I would say 90% of my waking hours has been spent working. This has been a busy, busy month. I got one huge wholesale order shipped out this week, so yay! I love it whenever I can take big boxes of yarn and put them into the custody of UPS and not have them in here anymore, and they're no longer my responsibility. I'm finishing up another wholesale order that needs to ship next week. I'm finishing up a lot of your pre-orders, the pie yarn, just general, special order kind of pre-orders. I'm working on the other pre-orders that are going to ship out like at the beginning of May. So there's lots of work going on here. And I'm trying to get as much of it as done as possible before I leave for Maryland. Obviously, the Pi Day yarn will ship prior to that. But I'd like to get everything else dyed and done and everything. So that's mainly what I've been doing. There's been a little bit of knitting, so I'm going to show you that. And a couple of other upcoming things that I'm going to talk about. And there will be a smallish shop update on Monday that I will talk about. And that's about it. So let's get started. Where shall I begin? I'll start with the socks. I worked on my Atlantic Current socks. I did not put a little marker in here last time, but I believe I had either just finished the heel flap or the heel turn, one or the other. I'm pretty sure that's where I was last time you saw these. So I have done all of the heel, the gusset and the heel decreases, and I'm now just knitting out the foot. I had a doctor's appointment this morning, and that's what I worked on there, although she was really prompt, so I didn't have that much time to work on it. But I'm getting my hair done this afternoon, so I'll be working on this afternoon as well. So this is the second one. This is the Atlantic Current socks pattern, which is all wrapped up in its working yarn. The Atlantic Current socks pattern by Melissa Tuttle Sibley. And the yarn is Unwind Yarn Company's Journey Sock in the Feria de Valencia colorway. You've been seeing these socks for quite a while now. I'm really, really hopeful that by the next time I record, they'll be finished. That is my hope. I think it will be. It'll be done. Oh, my little marker is still way up here on the cuff. I'll move it. I'll move it right now so that I remember and so that I can show you where I was the next time I record. Sorry, I'm a little froggy today. We've had the weirdest weather. I mean, we had like a week of nice high temperatures. It was really warm in the 60s and 70s, and now all of a sudden this week we've had 30s again, and snow flurries. The S word. Nothing's laid or accumulated or anything, but still enough already, just enough. So I think that has to do with my frogginess. Anyway, and that's that's a good looking hoe bag from the Stockinette Zombies that I got a long time ago. I don't think they're still around. I mean, the Stockinette Zombies are around. I don't think the bags are still around to be had. Anyway, okay, so that is one project. The other project that I had been working on it quite a bit. Now, the last several days, it hasn't seen much progress, but it's the Canopy Shawl by Melody from the Mandarins podcast. So, I I'm really happy with this shawl. I love the pattern. It's very well written, and I love my yarn that I'm using for it, which I'll tell you a little bit about in a second. But let me just show you how far I've gotten. I am on, let's see. All right, so here was the first stockinette section and then the first lace section. I cannot remember where I was last time you saw it. I think I was still in the first lace section. I did not put a marker in this one for sure. I'm pretty sure, though, I was in that first lace section. I don't think I had gotten to the second stockinette section, but I'm in the second lace section now. I'm about halfway through with that lace section. What happened, though, was, you see there's a garter ridge between each section, right? So there's your stockinette, then a garter ridge, then the lace, then a garter ridge, etc. Well, when I was moving on to the second stockinette section, I am following the written directions, first of all, let me tell you that, because, and I think I mentioned this before, this is the only thing I could possibly say is even kind of a complaint, and it's not really a complaint. It's just that whatever font Melody used to do this pattern, it's a really fine font. Like the bold, the stuff that's in bold is great, but the regular stuff just seems really, really light. I don't think it was my printer because everything else has been printing out front fine. But the font used just isn't optimal as far as I'm concerned. And the chart, which I'm going to just flash up, is just super, super light to me. Now, granted, I'm not seeing as well as I usually used to, but again, like everything that's printed in bold on that page, I can see really well. When I first started knitting the lace, I was just really having a hard time focusing on the chart. So I've just been following the written directions, which isn't a big deal because it's really simple. The you know, the patterning is not anything. You're repeating the same motif over and over, and then you slip your marker and do the center stitch and then continue on the other side. It's pretty memorizable as you're going along each row, so it hasn't been a big deal for me to be following the written directions. They're nice and short for each row, as opposed to some written lace directions, which are really, really long, and I can't do this. Anyway, what happened was, in the written directions, and I'm not sure, I have not looked on the pattern page to see if this has been corrected because I think it may be an error in the pattern, and I keep meaning to check, and if it's not written anywhere, I was going to write to Melody and ask her about it. But if you're following the written directions, it tells you that the odd rows for charts A and B are done a certain way, and it lists what rows. Well, the last row in that list of rows actually should be the garter row, and it's not. That's not what you get if you follow these directions. So I did it according to the written directions, and even as I was doing it, I thought, this doesn't really look right, I don't think. And I was looking at the pictures, and I'm like, and I was a couple rows into the stockinette section until when I finally decided to look at the chart, and the chart has it correctly. It tells you what to do that would result in the garter ridge. So I actually tinked back, you know, those couple of rows, and I reknit that to get my garter ridge. So now I know, but I'm noticing that the written directions for the next two stockinette sections are the same. So I am going to check and see if it's written as any errata on the project page. And if it is, fine, I just didn't check the errata because I'm horrible at checking for errata before I start a pattern. I don't know what my problem is with that. I just never think to. But anyway, and if it's not, I'll write to her and just say, hey, I think I'm reading this correctly. Is this a mistake? So anyway, but all said, I'm really, really happy with how it's turning out. It's beautiful, and I absolutely love my yarn choice. This, as I told you, was a skein of test dye yarn on my Serenity base, which I no longer carry. It was a 20% superwash merino, no, 80% superwash merino, 20% bamboo base, and it's just beautiful and soft and lovely and has that sheen to it that you get with a bamboo yarn, but since it's only 20% bamboo, it's a nice mild sheen, not a shiny. I just love it. I loved everything about this base, and I was really sad to see it discontinued by my supplier. There is another 20% bamboo base that my supplier does carry, and I just ordered some of that to try out because working with this made me really want to carry another bamboo blend yarn again. So we'll see how that works out as I dye that. But anyway, this was a test skein for a club colorway at one point. This is not how the club colorway turned out. But I'm using this for the main part, and then for the applied border, since I don't think I'll have enough yardage from this one skein, I'm going to use this other test skein, which is much closer to the final colorway that I used. I will probably use this for my applied border. But we'll see how it goes. I may have enough. You never know. Probably not, though, because the pattern calls for a good bit more yarn than what I had in this skein. So anyway, that's moving right along, and that is in my one and only Fat Squirrel bag. I would really love to get another one of her bags. I think she's having an update tonight. I might have to try to set a reminder on my phone to go check and see if I can grab. Although, you know what, she was only, I think there was only like one fabric in this one, so maybe I'll wait till the next one. I don't remember. Anyway, I love her bags. Okay, so the only other thing I worked on was my mini granny squares. I'm totally sucked in to these mini granny squares. I know, go ahead and laugh at me. Go ahead, because I swore up and down I was not going to get sucked into this mini craze of knitting these scrappy things. I knit my scrap socks. They were fine. They're happy socks, but I had no desire to start down this scrap Afghan rabbit hole that so many people are on. And that is not a judgment to anybody else who's doing it. Your Afghans are looking beautiful. I've seen a bunch of them, and they're gorgeous, and I love them. I just didn't think it was something I wanted to do. But you never know. So I have been knitting granny squares. You saw a whole bunch of them. I think I showed you like 14 of them the last time I recorded. And at one point, I probably did a couple more of those after that, but at one point this past week I looked at this whole pile of them because I had not woven in the ends, like, you know how you get the piece from the center where you start and then you have your piece at the end. Well, I had this big pile of mini granny squares sitting here that none of the ends had been woven in, and then, you know, I'm thinking ahead to like, okay, you know, let's just say theoretically I want to turn this into a blanket. I'm gonna have to put a border on each one and then connect them. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I wait until I have hundreds of these, if I get that far, I'm never going to want to do that. That's a lot of work. Plus, if you're doing a border, I mean, that's the same color. So I'd be putting a border on each one of these, all in the same color. And I thought, no, I can't do that. So I started joining them. I started doing a border. I thought about what color I wanted to use, and you know, I didn't really want to use a specific bright color just because there's so many colors in all these squares. I thought, I've seen them done with black borders, and I thought that might end up just being too dark. I thought about doing it in like a silver gray, but I didn't know if that might dull it down. I thought about doing it in just the white, like an undyed color. Amelia, my friend Amelia, who's Emil Carve, 1963, I think. She did hers gorgeous. It's beautiful in a white border, and it turned out lovely. And I had been talking to her one day. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that because it seems like it might get dirty and everything. But then the more I thought about it, I thought, okay, what am I going to do with this? It's not like I'm going to let the pets on it, and I'm not going to like be dragging it around. If I finish this to the size that I'm thinking I'd like to finish it, it's going to be something that would be on top of a bed just to look really pretty, or folded on the back of a couch. I mean, it's pretty lightweight because they're fingering weight squares. It's not like a worsted weight Afghan, you know? So I think it's going to be more of a decorative thing than it will be a functional thing, but still, I want it to look nice. So anyway, the day that I decided I was going to be crazy if I waited till I had too many more squares to work with, I came in here, I had a ball of just my regular bounce base that had been wound up, and there was something wrong with it. I think there had been a knot in it or something, so I never used it for actually, you know, shop yarn or anything. I grabbed it, and I started putting borders on squares. And here's what I've got. So I have I decided to just do one long strip to be the width that I wanted, at least the width that I think that I wanted. And I can't remember, I think it's 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yes, it's 15 squares wide. So what I've done was I've gone ahead and I put a white border, you know, one more round of crochet around it, and then I'm just taking that and attaching it to the next one as I go. So I did the border for the first one, you know, cut the yarn, did the border for the second one, and then attached it without cutting the yarn. So that's saving ends, but I'm weaving in the ends as I go. I'm really happy with how it's turning out. And actually, I'm not like doing any kind of major placement stuff for the squares at all. Like I'm just kind of reaching into my bag, I'm picking a square and I'm putting the edge on it, and I look at my strip and I see which end would it go on best, and that's how I'm doing it. And now that I started a second row, I have to give the placement a little bit more thought, just because I don't want the exact same colors in the same little area. So yeah, I've got 18 connected in this little thing. I can't remember which ones are new versus the ones I showed you before. I know this one is, because this is actually that Farah de Valencia colorway. I cheated and I went from the outside of that ball and knit up a square, or crocheted up a square using that. I don't know which other ones you haven't seen, but it's not that big of a deal. But my plan is I'm going to do all the outside ones with white borders for sure. Every once in a while, though, I think I'm going to do either like a black or a gray border around the inside one, just for something a little bit different. And then when I'm done with the whole entire thing, I'm going to do that same dark color as the outside border of the whole afghan. I'm going to crochet a whole order. Maybe I'll decide not to do that because it might end up looking weird after I do the very first square and I might have to rip it out. But that's the plan that's in my mind at the moment. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, this morning and last night, I'd finally run out of squares because I actually had a few that were too big. They were 2 hand spun ones, and then one that I think was more of a sport weight probably than a fingering weight yarn. And they turned out to be a little too large to add because it was going to throw everything off. So I didn't use those, but I decided to start on another little stash. So this is some of the Nyan Cat. This is the pink and the gray of the Nyan Cat yarn. This is actually some of my very, very first ever self-striping yarn I dyed. It's not even a colorway I ever did for the shop. It was just me playing around. I still have these socks, I think, unless they're one of the ones that bit the dust recently, but I had them for the longest time. This is from a pair of socks I made a girlfriend because it was kind of out of pit colors. This one is actually from the March minis of the month. I have the other one of those already in here. It's funny because the striping, yeah, here's the other one, the purple and green one. The striping skein from that set, the stripes are far enough apart that I can't get all 3 colors into one little square. At least I wasn't able to. So I have one with the purple and the green and then one with the blue and the green. But this one needs to be spaced a little farther apart from the other one. This one, I don't know what the yarn was, but it was something that I had made a set of fingerless mitts for my daughter and my niece. And I think I made a pair of baby socks from that too. And then this is some Highland Handmaids. I don't remember the base, but it's the Firestarter colorway, which I believe I did the Lacey Bactus scarfy thing out of. So anyway, those are the ones that I've done so far, like yesterday and today. I'm just gonna I think I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm gonna make a little pile of these, then I'm gonna go ahead and add them to the bigger project. Then I'll make another little pile and go back to the project. I think that's probably the best way for me to do this, weaving in my ends as I go so that it never ends up feeling overwhelming, because it's easy enough for it to. And what I'm doing is I'm keeping all the balls of yarn in this little bag that Emily made for me. Amelia. Emily, sorry, Amelia made for me. Gosh, I cannot think. And then as I use them, I'm putting them, I have a box in my bedroom. I'm just throwing all the ones that I've already used into there. And if this is going to be as big as I'd actually like it to be, I'm going to have to recycle and go through it, but I'm going to use all of my mini balls once first. Then I'll go back and start recycling through the ones I've already used so that I'm not putting the same type of square super close together in the whole blanket. And then my, my white yarn and the actual project is in here right now. My only thing that I keep having an issue with is I keep misplacing my crochet hook. I kind of wish I had one of those ones that a lot of people are using that have kind of the bigger padded grippy handle, but I'm just using this little tiny one. And I'll tell you what, I can't tell you how many times I've sat it down, or if I'm working on them in bed at night, like I sit it down and it just disappears in the covers and I have to keep searching it out. So anyway, I haven't lost it yet though. Maybe while I'm at Maryland, I'll see if I come across those crochet hooks, maybe I'll buy another one if it has the bigger handle. We'll see. I don't mind using the little one. It's very comfortable. And I'll tell you what, crochet is just kind of hypnotic. Doing these little squares, they don't take that long. And it's just such a, it's like this kind of emotion, you know? It's very hypnotic, very relaxing. I love doing it. And I've been tired enough at night that I wanted to be able to do something, but I didn't have that much time to craft. So those are perfect. I can do one or two of those before I decide to turn off the light and go to sleep, and I'm fine. So anyway, that's everything that I have worked on this week. I'm not going to list the things I didn't work on because obviously if you're not seeing them, I did not work on them. And no spinning. I did not have time to spin this week. So let's talk about the repurposing challenge. I have made no actual purposeful headway on my repurposing challenge, but I've been having a good time reading what you guys are recommending and things that you've done or things that you've seen that might be fun to do. However, Babette has chosen on her own to repurpose some of my socks that have holes in them. I have a bag of socks. I told you, I think they're downstairs. But in my office here, the ones that I've most recently taken out of my drawer and stopped using because the holes have gotten too big, I have in a box. And it's only like about this big around. It's a small, it's actually like one of those plastic food storage things, but like the long rectangular ones. And I have them just sitting in there. And to get them out of the way, I had stuck them on the bottom of my one bookshelf over there, back in the corner, and there's other things around it and everything. Well, I was in here one day and I just happened to glance over and I caught sight of something that didn't look like it belonged on that shelf, and here I realized it was Babette. She found her way back behind all this stuff into that corner, into that little plastic bin that had my holy socks in them. And she was all curled up in there. I mean, it's not that big of a bin, but cats are like that, right? They find little places and they get in there. She had herself all nice and cozy, and the socks made the perfect bed for her. She was quite pleased with herself. And I've seen her in there several times since. And you know what? I make great efforts to keep her out of, say, my yarn stash and, you know, this yarn. She never bothers this. I should knock on wood, because I should say she has never bothered yarn. Like, she's not gone after my projects. She sometimes will hop in my one basket out in there. Actually, the dog tries to get in there more than she does. But she has never gotten into yarn and hurt it. And I make an effort to keep her out of, like, my business yarn that I'm going to ship off to people. This is a cat-friendly house, though, so I cannot guarantee there won't be a piece of cat hair in your yarn at some point. I just can't guarantee that. But I try to make that known. Anyway, but she's not nesting in my yarn is my point here. So I just thought it was really funny that she actually found that little bin with those socks, and that is what she chose to lay in. And you know what? I said, fine, you can have that spot. Because the only other place she's ever done that is in my bedroom. My one bookcase, I have little bins, like the little fabric colored bins. And the small ones I all have like scarves and mittens and mitts and hats and things like that in hand, hand knit and otherwise. Those are all on the top, but then the bottom shelf, I have 2 bigger fabric colored bins, and that's what I keep all of my hand knit shawls in. Well, I learned really quickly after first starting to use that spot that she found that spot and was nesting in my shawls one day. And I said, oh, no, 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 we're not doing that. So I usually keep those covered with like DSW bags, the heavy paper shopping bags that have handles. Like I open them up, they're flat still, but they're unfolded, and I lay those on top of my shawls. So she has no interest in laying in there, and she's never like tried to really move them either. So anyway, but yeah, I figured that's a battle I'm not even going to fight you on that one. You can sleep back there. And she is repurposing my socks. So it's technically a repurposing, even if I had nothing to do with it really, other than making the opportunity available to her. So anyway, but that said, I do want to tell you about a new knit along that is going to be happening starting in June, that I will be sponsoring. If you remember last year, I did the Head to Toe knit along, which was a 4-month-long knit along, and it was a lot of fun, and so many people participated. It was great. I wanted to do something else like that again that would be long term. It would happen over a series of months, and that's what is going to happen this year. I've decided we're going to do one, and I'm calling it the Alphabet Cowl, and it's going to be K/C because it can be knit or crochet, but those are really the only 2 crafts that will fit into this one. And it's going to run June, July, August, and September. And I'm just going to give you kind of an outline of how this is going to work at this point because I'm still tweaking the details of it. Eventually, I will have a thread up explaining everything because this is a little different than any knit along I've ever done before, that I've ever sponsored before. I've done ones like it before in other groups, but I've not offered one. So here's how it's going to be. We're going to go through the alphabet, and each of the 4 months will have a segment of the alphabet. So June will be A, B, C, D, E, F. July will be G, H, I, J, K, L. August will be the next 7 letters. September will be the last 7 letters, okay? The significance of the alphabet is this, okay? In June, to participate, you need to either knit or crochet a pattern that begins with one of those letters of the alphabet. That's the non-optional part. In order for it to count that month, your pattern name has to begin with A, B, C, D, E, or F. Okay? Then you can also choose, if you want to, if you knit your project out of a yarn from a company whose name also begins with one of those letters, you're going to get an extra entry into the drawing at the end. So the pattern name gives you 1 point, so to speak. Okay. The yarn company name, if it qualifies as A, B, C, D, E, F, it will also give you 1 point. And if the colorway of the yarn begins with A, B, C, D, E, F, one of those letters, that will be another point. Okay. The only one you have to do, however, is the pattern name. That's the only required one. Okay. If one or the other or both, the yarn company name and the colorway name also fit, then those are 2 extra points, 1 for each of those items. You don't have to do those at all, but you can. If somehow you manage to do a pattern that starts with those letters with a yarn from a company that starts with those letters and the colorway name starts with those letters, you'll get a bonus point. So you can actually earn 4 points per project, and there's no limit to the number of projects you can do each month. Okay. How this is going to work also differently than this is obviously a point system. This isn't a per project system. It's going to be points. So you can earn up to 4 points for each project, theoretically. You're going to begin a post. Like when you first post your first project in June, you're going to post it. You're going to put all that information in there, and you are going to keep tally of your points in that post. If you do a second project in June, you're going to go in and edit that original post, okay? Add the second project to it, and then do another tally, a grand tally of your points. I'm not going to do the adding. This will be insane because I can't, I know that my limits, and I think it's reasonable to ask you guys to do this. And I will put up all this information. I will put up samples of how I would like this done, and how I want the information up on the page and everything so that we can keep track of it. Yeah. Anyway, so each month you will start a new post. So for June, you will have a post if you're participating. In July, you will have a post. You'll post all of your June projects in your June post, all of your July projects in your July post, and so on, okay? So, I know, this is sort of convoluted, and I don't think it's going to be as confusing as it maybe sounds right this minute, but stick with me and ask questions. That's why I'm starting to talk about it now, a whole month plus ahead of time, so we can get all the details ironed out and everybody will know what's going on by the time June 1st hits. It can be any kind of project, knit, as long as it's knit or crochet. It has to be a complete project, obviously. So if it's mittens, it has to be 2 mittens. If it's socks, it has to be 2 socks. Okay, what's not going to be eligible, even if it is knit or crochet? Probably not scrap blankets, because even though your little squares are each kind of projects in and of themselves, they're actually components of a larger project. So unless you manage to knit and or crochet all of your squares for one blanket or whatever you're making within that month, it's probably not going to be able to count. Now, if you're doing, say, a granny square pillow, that you might be able to get done all in 1 month. However, you would have to list all of the yarns you used that qualified. That I'm not really sure. I think you're only going to get points for 1 yarn. Even if you used like 7 different yarns in your pillow that started with one of those letters, you're going to just get 1 point for using a yarn. Yeah, or this is going to get crazy. And I want to try to keep it a little bit fair. So the projects do have to be started and finished within that knit-along month, okay? That's not different from most of my knit-alongs anymore. I will be doing monthly prizes, okay? So when June's close, I will do some sort of monthly prize. At least, it'll depend on how many people participate, but there will be at least 1 prize, probably more prizes, because I usually do more than 1 drawing. And then there will be a grand prize at the very end. This time you do not have to participate in every single month. If you do, great. I'd love it if you do. But it's going to go by points. So in June, let's say you knit 2 projects in June and you managed to earn all 4 points for both projects. You have 8 points in June, okay? That means I am going to literally put your name in a hat or a something 8 times. And I am going to do that part old school, I think. I'm going to actually type them out or write them out or however it works, put them in a hat and do the drawings that way. Because I'm crazy? I don't know. Unless I find an app that'll do that for me. But anyway, so if you, let's say you earned 8 points in June and you earned 5 points in July and no points in August and 2 points in September. You'll add all those points together and that's how many times your name will go in the bin for, in the hat for the grand prize drawing. And I can tell you what at least 1 grand prize drawing is going to be. One of the grand prize drawings will be a $100 gift certificate to my shop. So, but that is at the very end of all 4 months. If any of you out there are dyers, are pattern designers, are bag makers, or stitch marker makers or anything, and you would like to donate prizes for either the monthly drawings or the grand prize or whatever, I would be happy to talk to you about that, so please PM me on Ravelry. If you are any one of those people, well, actually, no. Well, yeah, I guess. And your company name begins with the letters of that month. So say in June, if you're, you're a bag maker and your company name begins with A, B, C, D, E, or F, and you would like to offer a coupon code for either yarn or a pattern, in that month, I would be happy to share that with the group. So just contact me. If you have something you think might be applicable, contact me. We can talk about it, and I'll be happy to pass things on to our lovely group members. Okay, let's see. I I think that's pretty much everything. I'm sure that leaves a lot of questions unanswered. Like I said, I'm still tweaking the details, so we'll get there. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's something thematic. I kind of like thematic things sometimes. And I'm sure I'm not maybe the very first person to ever have done an alphabet knit along. I don't know. It just came to me. Like I was downstairs, I was rescanning yarn, and suddenly the thought popped into my brain some way. And I don't even know how. But that's what it was. So that's what we're going to do. And I hope you guys will enjoy it. But we'll work out all the details. And you can ask questions. If you have any questions about it, once I get the guidelines and everything for it up, please, please, please ask. Okay. Also coming up, Maryland Sheep and Wool. Yay! In fact, this time next week, Melissa and I should probably be in DC. She is coming in. This is Melissa, who is from Meltran Designs podcast. And if you're not watching her, you should, because she is so cute and energetic. Anyway, she will be coming in. She's flying in Thursday night next week, late. So I will be picking her up at the airport. And then once we settle down, we will go to sleep and then get up as early as we can, given the late hour of our going to bed. And we will head to DC. And because Melissa has never been to DC. She's from Idaho and she's never been this far east. So she's very, very, very excited. And I really want to do as much as I can to make her visit out here, not just at Maryland, but in general, as exciting and fun for her as possible. I really want her to get her bang for her buck for being out here in the East. So she wanted to see DC, and we have an opportunity to do an event or an activity Friday evening in DC, which we're going to go do, which I'll tell you about after we do it. But Friday during the day, she's like, well, can we just go to DC and park and walk? And I just want to see things. You know, she doesn't even want to do tours or anything, which is good because there won't be enough time to. But see, my brain as somebody who lives on the East Coast, and I am 4.5 hours from DC and who can go to DC on a regular basis if I want to, my brain is like, there is no just parking and walking to see things in DC because things are quite spread apart. I mean, you can. It's not undoable, but you're not going to get to see a whole lot. Not as much as I would want to see if I was going to DC. See, when I go to DC and do a day, like I'll do the trolley tour because you can hop on and off the trolley at all like the major sites and everything. And then you can spend more time at some or no time at others. You can just see them, and the trolley driver like tells you stuff as you're going along. That's really, I think, the perfect way to do a nice quick tour of DC. But we're not going to have time to do that either. So we're just going to, I'm going to do some research, find the best place to park. If any of you out there have an idea of where would be the best place for me to park that would be kind of central, please let me know, because it's been a while since I've been to DC. And I think the last time I went, I actually parked out in Alexandria, Virginia. I don't remember. It's a Virginia town close by, suburby kind of thing. I don't know. Parked there and then took the train in. So I wasn't even parked at all in DC. So if you let me know a good place to do that, and maybe that would be the best way to do it. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I should just find a train station. We can park there and then take the train in. Good idea, Lisa. Let me know if you have any feedback on that. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to do some impromptu touring of DC on Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, we will be at Maryland Sheep and Wool, and I am praying for good weather. So far, the long-term forecast looks good right now. Really hoping it stays that way because Maryland Sheep and Wool gets muddy, and I don't really want to walk around in mud, and I don't want to make her walk around in mud. Anyway, I have no real plans for while I'm at Maryland. There's some booths I want to go see. None that I feel the need to get there before the gates open and then stampede to them, though. And I don't think she feels that way either. I do believe we'll do the podcaster meetup on Saturday at 1 o'clock. So we'll be there. Look for us. Other than that, I'm mainly going to let her take the lead. Whatever she wants to do and see, that's what I'm going to go around and do and see with her. Because, like I said, I want this to be about her. I've been to Maryland before, and it's always fun. But I want her to get to enjoy this. So anyway, that's the plan. So Sunday we'll leave afterwards, however long we stay, drive back up here, and then she flies out on Monday. So it's going to be kind of a fast trip, but it should be fun, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. The closer it gets, the more excited I get. And that's generally the way I am about travel in general. Like, I never get super excited about things that are months away. Like, I'm not the type, that's probably why I plan most of my vacations, like, on kind of short term. Like, even the year when I went to Ireland, I planned that whole trip, including getting passports for me and my 2 kids, in a month. Seriously. Cost an arm and a leg to expedite passports like that, but we did it. If I would say, hey, I'm planning a trip to Ireland in September of 2016, which I'm not, I'm just using that as a hypothetical example, I would not be excited about it. You know, the zombie apocalypse could happen between now and then. You know, anything could happen between now and then. I could get hit by a bus between now and then. There's just too many unknowns in that kind of a time frame. But hey, if you tell me, hey, you want to go somewhere next week? I'm like, yes! And then I'll be psyched and excited and it'll be awesome. And I don't mind doing trips that way. So that's why, even though I've known that we've been planning to do Maryland since like late last year, it's been only the last couple of weeks that I'm really starting to get amped up for it. Not because I wasn't happy about it, but just I'm happier about it now because it's really close. So anyway, it's just me and my brain. But anyway, I'm not going to record again. I'm not going to record next week. Obviously, it's Friday now. I'll be on the road next Friday. I'll record after Maryland and give you the rundown. Maybe, I don't know. I'll have to see if Melissa would feel like recording Monday before she leaves. I'm not sure if that'll work out, but we'll see. Maybe we could record something little together and then I can tack it on to the actual podcast. We'll have to see. Anyway, other than that, I think that's pretty much it for the 90% part. Otherwise, crazy weather. Like I said, we had snow flurries the other day. It was cold and nasty. Today it's bright and sunny and beautiful, but it's cold. Like, I left for my doctor's appointment this morning. It was 30 degrees. I mean, that was at 9 o'clock. Come on now. It's spring. Let's get to the nicer temperatures. What else? I did mow my grass for the first time last weekend, though. Sunday was beautiful out, and I got my push mower out because the tractor still has the plow on it. I need to get that off and put the mower deck on at some point soon. But I got my push mower out. It started first pull. I'm telling you what, I love my little push mower. It is the best one I've ever owned, ever. And even after sitting all winter, it just fired right up. And we mowed my yard. We being me and my push mower. Just the front yard. I just did my front yard and my side yard. I didn't really even do like the flat part of the backyard. Just, this was the part that was driving me crazy. I'd like to get it mowed one more time before I go to Maryland because it's growing like incredibly, especially the area where Muffin goes to the bathroom. There's like this big area that's like grass is twice as high as anywhere else. It's well fertilized. So hopefully I will get a chance to do that again before I go so that I don't come back to a hayfield. What else? Taxes. If you're here in the U.S., tax day has come and gone since I recorded last. Paid my taxes. Paid my estimated taxes for the first quarter. And this week I paid my real estate taxes for the year. Woohoo! Love writing out those big checks. And it's so funny because the day that I did that, I wrote out my real estate tax check and I met with an insurance guy that I've been talking to about different things. And I think this was yesterday, I plurked. I'm like, okay, I've done these 2 things today. Can I please stop doing responsible adult stuff for the rest of the day, please? It's like, I don't know. Let me just have some fun. So anyway, yeah, that's all done. But you know, I try to think about it this way. I'm like, at least I'm able to pay my taxes. Like, I had the money set aside. I've been responsible. Pat myself on the back, you know. This whole being single thing has been a real eye-opener for me. Because I never had to worry about this stuff by myself before. And now the past couple of years I have. And, you know, maybe I shouldn't be so proud of the fact that I'm able to do it. I just never dreamed that I would have to do it by myself. And I am able to do it by myself, and it's a good thing, and it makes me feel good that I can. Anyway, okay. Shop news. This is going to be a really quick segment. Like I said, I am working on finishing up a lot of stuff. If you've got pre-order that you're waiting for, it should be coming to you really, really soon. I'm going to hit the deadlines. Don't worry. They will be out, barring any major catastrophes. But Pi Day stuff will all get shipped out before I go to Maryland. next week by the 30th, and then the other pre-order update that I had done, that stuff's supposed to go out by May 7th. That's on track. So, and other people have, you know, pre-orders and stuff for like Inversibles, things like that. I'm working on them. I've got a lot of them dyed. They just need to be like, you know, reskeined and split and everything. So it's coming along. I'm not sitting still much lately. You know, I'm always doing something. I did want to mention, oh, the April minis of the month. Those will also go out by May 3rd or April 30th on schedule. I'm sorry they're taking longer than last month, but last month was sort of an anomaly because I was really excited about them being the first month and I got them done really, really fast. This month I'm still excited about them, but I've had so much other stuff that I had to get done prior to that, that they are actually kind of taking the whole month for me to get the pre-orders out, which is what was said in the listing. So it's not like I'm late or anything, but just know that they're coming. Those are all dyed and ready to go. I'm waiting for the girl one of the girls who helps me. She's coming tomorrow. I'm going to have her split them all. So they'll be ready to go out hopefully by Monday, early next week. But the May minis of the month, ordinarily I would be posting the pre-order for the May minis of the month on May 1st. However, May 1st is a week from today. I will be traveling. So instead of trying to do that remotely and from the road, plus I'm not going to record prior to May 1st again, and I do not have the yarn to show you. It's dyed, it's just not split so that I could show you a sample set. I'm going to wait, and I'm going to put the pre-orders for the May minis of the month up on May 8th, Friday, May 8th. Hopefully I will still be able to get them out by the end of May, but I will put all of that information in the listing. So there's just going to be a slight shift in that schedule, but there will be May minis of the month. Don't you worry. And lastly, there is going to be a smallish update on Monday, April 27th at 2 p.m. Eastern. The only things going up in this update is the fiber from the show. Unfortunately, that was the only thing I could not get up in the last update. And by the way, thank you so much for your enthusiasm over all my show leftovers. That was a fabulous update. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you didn't shop it yet and you want to look, there's still a lot of good stuff in there. Look, all this is, most of that is show stuff that has not been purchased yet. So if you're, you know, show leftovers, if you're still interested, go ahead and check it out and I will get that out to you. But anyway, as I was doing the listings, I had sort of underestimated how many things I had to list. And I was actually putting listings up to like about 10 minutes before the update started. And I did not get the fiber up. So the fiber will go up in this update, as will a limited number of fiber blending sets I'll be putting together, and I will have a limited number of my semi-solid mini skein grab bags that I had, I don't know, a couple months ago. I think I did those, and they were really well received, and so I wanted to do some more. So those things will all be going up on Monday. And again, like I said, there's still stuff in the shop from the show. I don't think I have any other random-y things. I may just hold off. If I do have random stuff, you know, from leftover from special orders and stuff, I'll hold that till the next regular update. But anyway, so that's what's going on. If you're going to Maryland, please say hi if you see me. I love greeting people, meeting you. As far as swag, I have a limited number of 90% knitting buttons. They were my original ones that I had years ago. And when I've been cleaning out my office, I found a stash of them that I apparently never gave away. So if you want one, come up to me. And as long as they last, I'll be happy to give them out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to bring any yarn. Sometimes I bring little sample skeins of yarn. I'm not sure that I'm going to have time to put those together. If I do, I will happily give those out too, but please don't count on it because I just may not have the time for that, but we'll see. Anyway, otherwise, please, you know, there's going to be so many people at Maryland that I know. I can't wait to get there. It's going to be so much fun. But please say hi if you're going to be there. And if we don't run into each other, I hope you have a good time anyway. You know, festivals are awesome. And it's so funny because I keep hearing all these podcasters talking about Maryland, and some of them are also mentioning then Rhinebeck, which I'm also planning to go to in the fall. So it's kind of getting me excited for Rhinebeck, even though I just said I don't get too excited about things that far in advance. But I'm actually really kind of excited about it. So already. Whatever. Okay, I'm going to stop rambling. I've got a bunch of stuff to do. I have a hair appointment at 12:30 and it's after 11:30 now, so I need to get going. Anyway, have a great week and I will talk to you after Maryland. Bye.